So the last few weeks we've talked about mindfulness and those heavy emotions that cause great damage to us in our life, like anger and jealousy and envy, hatred. We also talked about forgiveness and the importance of it. So tonight I was going to talk a little about tolerance. As a society, it's kind of like, not kind of like, we've actually lost our way in that things that were previously considered not good and harmful are now quite often glorified, like there are some things to achieve or attain or to go after. One of my spiritual masters, he once described, it's kind of like in life, I don't know if you can relate to this or not. You know, we run into problems, whether it's something that we've done or we feel there is something lacking, something eating away at us, we're kind of disturbed. And we look for some solution to these problems. And then we really get our mind fixed, like, okay, I think I've figured it out. This is exactly what I need. And we really go after it with quite a good amount of focus and energy. And then we find that when we get it and everything settles down, and as we go along, it's like, that one didn't work out so well. Right or not? And then we find ourselves in this, sticky kind of situation. So what am I going to do now? And what we don't understand is the thing that got us to that place, we are now going to use that same reasoning, we are going to use that same process to now try and get us out of our predicament. We're going to look for something else that can offset the unhappiness or the emptiness or the disappointment in life. I'll look for something else that can, fix it. And so I chase after what I think is going to be the solution. And invariably, we end up in an even worse predicament. I don't know if you can relate to that in your life or in friends and people, but this is a very common experience. And it's quite often based, of course, on these false assumptions. For instance, that I can find perfect happiness in this world. Not only can I find perfect happiness, I can actually find and make a home here. A place where I am sheltered, where I am protected, where everything is warm, and I'm in this warm embrace, and everything is going to be okay. Take this process of following a genuine spiritual path, that within this world that we are so familiar with, you will find a certain amount of happiness and you will find a certain amount of unhappiness. We, the spiritual beings residing within this body, have this desire for great happiness. And I will tell you quite frankly that the happiness that is to be experienced in this world is not what will completely satisfy us. The nature of so-called happiness in this world, it has a beginning, and therefore it will have an end. Similarly, unpleasantness or unhappiness, sadness, it also has a beginning and it will also have an end. So we are in this constant flux. Some people promote the idea that, okay, without the unhappiness, then I wouldn't be able to really appreciate the happiness. No, it's not really like that. The happiness that we really desire is spiritual in nature. And so what we are encouraged is, instead of this mad search and absorption and all this things outside of myself in this world, all this stuff around me, instead of being lost in that world, if I want to find real peace and happiness, I must begin an inward journey. So spiritual life is for this purpose. Meditation is for this purpose. It is really necessary, if you are going to be happy in this life, that you must become temperate in all things. If you are going to excessively and with great enthusiasm chase things, if you are going to cultivate appetites for so-called pleasure in this world, it is never going to end well. I'm sorry, that is the reality. I don't think I'm negative. Am I negative? No, it's realistic. Actually, my desire is that everybody become unlimitedly happy. So if we are to do this, we've got to stop doing the things that are not helping us. We have to learn to deal with things. And a big part of that is this quality of tolerance. You know, part of the consumer economic society that we live in, it really pushes and drives people to instantly act on all impulses, because it's in the interest of manufacturers and people that are distributing and selling products. They want you to just instantly act and, of course, purchase. It's a financial interest that they have. And so this idea has been really promoted and pushed. But your best interest is not to impulsively and instinctively act on things, but to take a deep breath and just step back a little and really consider, where will this go? Where will this lead me? Is this really in my best interest? When a person learns to become more tolerant of everything, then they are going to be in a much better spiritual position. What is tolerance? In one of the great spiritual texts, yoga texts, known as the Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavat Purana, there is this amazing description of tolerance. Tolerance means to patiently endure unhappiness. Is that a wonderful description? I don't know, it blows me away. I think it's amazing. To patiently endure unhappiness. And what does that have to do with my spiritual life? Well, many of the things that are driving me is this impulse, this desire to find this fulfillment, to find this happiness, to find love, to grab hold of someone or something, pull it in close to me, and when I snuggle up with it, I think everything is going to be perfect and wonderful. Or, if something is really agitating me, then I have a choice to step away from it, or to seek to find a way to turn that volume down, to calm it down a little bit, whatever it is that's agitating me. Or I can just lose the plot and I can blow up. I can become angry. I can get just horribly pissed off about everything. And that really helps me so much in my life, doesn't it? That makes everything wonderful. Everything that I'm seeking to achieve becomes achieved when I become angry. Everything gets better. Nothing gets worse when I become intolerant or angry or upset. So the practice of tolerance is actually a really, really important quality that you need to actively work on and develop if you are to become truly happy in this lifetime, if you are to achieve the ultimate spiritual success, both in this life and in your death, in your passing. Tolerance is absolutely necessary and required. So, we're not going to, of course, speak in much detail. We're just sort of passing over. These are things that I'm sort of throwing out little tidbits every week about these type of things. And what I will really ask you to do, though, is consider what we're discussing through the week and the weeks to come. Like when we talked about anger, most people will think and go, yeah, I really agree with that. Yeah, I can understand that. That seems really cool. I need to do something about that. And then we get in a car and we go home and we've already forgotten about it. What to speak of, come Monday and Tuesday, and it's not something that we think about. But if you are actually to be considered intelligent, and you are intelligent, otherwise you wouldn't be here, wanting to hear about these things and participating in a spiritual process. But you must use this intelligence and really think about it in relation to your life. You must become an active participant. Nobody can change your life for you. Nobody can deliver the happiness and the love that you seek. No one else is going to do these things for you. It is entirely up to you. Our life is really the product of all the choices that we have made. Of course, there are things that come to us unasked, like out of the blue, they happen. Things to do with these are related to past karma, past action. These are karmic fruit or reaction. But on the whole, our life is the product of our choices. That should tell us that it's actually within our power to decide what we are going to choose to do with our time, what we are going to choose to do with our life, how we are going to live. Of course, we become very conditioned by life, by our relationships, by our families, our society. We get into this automatic mode of how we react to things. But it doesn't have to be that way. And as I mentioned previously when we talked about the mindfulness thing, learning to press the pause button. When things are not going well, don't make it worse. Learn to hit the pause button, step away. Calm down. If you take up the offer of Ivishwara and you learn how to do this japa meditation where they use beads, and you can take a walk and immerse yourself in the spiritual sound and and slowly the fog begins to dissipate. Then come back and deal with things and try to deal with things seeking spiritual outcomes that are really going to benefit you. So tolerance is very important for two reasons. By cultivating or developing our tolerance, we learn not to instantly react to things, whether we consider them positive or negative, not to just instantly, respond. We learn to be a little bit more thoughtful. The other thing, though, is by exercising tolerance, we don't choose automatically, we don't choose a course of action that's going to make our life worse. In reality, we are often our own worst enemy. When we take our mind so seriously and whatever's going on in there and whatever we're thinking, when we take that so seriously, we completely take it on board, we completely follow it everywhere, things often don't work out so well. So this cultivation of tolerance, it's a very, very important part of the process of your personal spiritual cultivation. And if nothing else, please really consider that my visit here, coming here to chant and everything, that's all very well, but I must come to this point where I become even gradually, step by step, resolved to actually take charge of my life and to make decisions that are really in my best interest.